If you've ever thought HOA drama couldn't possibly get worse than an argument over mailbox paint, buckle up, because today we're diving into the story of how one woman nearly burned an entire neighborhood to the ground, all in the name of keeping things pretty. It started on a crisp Thursday morning in the sleepy little community of Cedar Heights. Tucked against the edge of dry, fire-prone hills, I'm Ethan Cole, former firefighter and current guy who takes emergency preparedness way too seriously, according to my neighbors. But hey, when half your state turns into a tinderbox every summer, maybe a little paranoia isn't such a bad thing. So when the county launched a wildfire readiness program offering specialized emergency water tanks, I jumped at the chance. After months of paperwork inspections and endless bureaucracy, I finally got approval to install a 4,000-gallon steel tank behind my house out of sight, but ready to save lives. Everyone seemed on board, everyone except Meredith Bloomfield. Meredith was the HOA president, the self-declared protector of Cedar Heights' charm, and the kind of woman who wielded her clipboard like a medieval sword. She wasn't just against my water tank. No, she was personally offended by it. It wasn't about rules. Not really. It was about control. See, Meredith had bigger plans. Rumor had it, she was cozying up to a real estate developer who wanted Cedar Heights to market itself as a boutique green community, perfect lawns, picturesque streets. The works, wildfire, readiness didn't fit the aesthetic. And my ugly, utilitarian water tank. It was a direct threat to her dream, and quietly to her potential kickbacks. The morning I backed that tank into my driveway, Meredith practically sprinted down the street, flip-flops slapping like gunshots. She waved her clipboard at me like she was hailing a taxi. "What is that monstrosity doing here?" "Ethan," she shrieked. I calmly explained, county-approved emergency preparedness, wildfire risk mitigation. The whole 9 yards. I even offered to show her the official documents. She didn't even look at them. Just wrinkled her nose, like I'd suggested we start a landfill in her rose garden. It violates Section 4, Paragraph 7. No unsightly structures above 4 feet. Remove it within 24 hours. Or the HOA will... I laughed. I thought she was bluffing. Spoiler alert, she wasn't. The next morning, while I was out at a station audit, Meredith struck. She hired a private tow company under the table to haul my tank away. No vote, no notice, no warning. Just a smug little violation, slip taped to my door, fluttering in the breeze like some twisted love letter. I stormed over to her house, where she was watering her petunias, like nothing had happened. That tank was county-sanctioned for emergency wildfire response. I snapped, "You just removed our backup supply." She didn't blink, just smirked and said, "Maybe next time you'll think before parking industrial junk where everyone can see it." At first I thought, fine, it's petty, but we'll survive. Then the wind shifted. Smoke rose over the hills. The sky turned that sickly, bruised orange. That means it's not if the fire comes, but when. Panic hit me like a freight train. I called every contact I had: county officials, fire marshals, the emergency coordinator, who had signed off on the tank. When they heard the HOA had towed a critical asset without authorization, even the fire marshal choked on his coffee. That's when I discovered the emails Meredith had been actively blocking fire readiness projects for months, scrubbing them from meeting minutes, refusing budget allocations, even coordinating with a city liaison named Troy Langston, who just so happened to be the mayor's nephew and a major investor in the boutique development deal. They didn't just want Cedar Heights safe. They wanted Cedar Heights marketable, safety inconvenient, ugly tanks, bad for branding. And now the fire was coming. The final straw was finding security footage of Meredith herself at 3 a.m., waving a flashlight around my tank like she was Christopher Columbus claiming new land, posing for selfies as the tow guys loaded it onto a flatbed. I sent the footage to the fire department, the county board, and every HOA member whose email I could dig up. Then we got serious. Me and a few neighbors, Lana, old Mr. Grayson from the cul-de-sac, and Eric, a paramedic, organized a petition. Demand an emergency HOA meeting. Demand Meredith's removal. Demand answers. Meanwhile, I wasn't waiting around for bureaucracy to catch up. With the help of some old firefighting buddies, I liberated the tank from the impound yard. Okay, technically, it was an after-hours retrieval, but desperate times, right? We hauled it back. Under the cover of darkness, reinstalled it behind my house, and secured it better than Fort Knox. By the time Meredith realized what we'd done, it was too late. She rolled up in her pristine white SUV, wearing silk pajamas and fury on her face. "You can't do this. This is illegal," she shrieked, stomping barefoot across the lawn. I just smiled. Behind her flashing red lights appeared county fire officials. They weren't here for me. They were here to recertify the tank as part of the official emergency grid. Meredith opened her mouth to argue, but the lieutenant cut her off sharply. "Ma'am, if you interfere with emergency deployment, again, you'll be cited for obstruction under active evacuation orders." She huffed, sputtered, then retreated like a defeated cartoon villain. And not a moment too soon, because that night the fire came. A wall of searing orange barreled over the hills, embers flying like tiny meteors. Sirens wailed, helicopters thudded overhead, evacuation alerts buzzed through every phone in the neighborhood. But thanks to that tank, the one Meredith had tried to erase our side of Cedar Heights had a fighting chance. Fire crews hooked up hoses, doused roofs, soaked perimeter hedges. Water surged from the tank, buying time, buying hope. Families fled safely, no homes lost, no lives lost. When the smoke cleared, reporters swarmed in, cameras flashing. The story exploded nationwide. HOA president removes emergency water. Tank days before wildfire. Neighborhood barely saved. There was even a photo of Meredith's melted garden gnomes strewn across her perfect lawn, like casualties of her own vanity. Public pressure was relentless. Within days, Meredith faced an emergency vote. The HOA removed her presidency, barred her from holding any leadership position for 5 years, and formally apologized to the neighborhood. She packed up and moved out within 3 months. No one threw her a going-away party. Meanwhile, that water tank became a symbol. We painted it with flames being doused by waves, a phoenix rising from the ashes. Someone even nailed a wooden sign next to it that read, "Try towing this now." We became stronger, more prepared, more united. Cedar Heights wasn't just a pretty neighborhood anymore. It was a community. Because when the skies glow orange and the world smells like smoke, it's not the manicured lawns or pastel mailboxes that save you. It's the people who fight for what actually matters. And that's the story of how one ugly steel tank and a neighborhood full of stubborn hearts beat back both wildfire and arrogance. But hey, what about you? Have you ever tangled with an HOA or faced crazy community drama? Drop your stories in the comments. I'd love to hear what battles you fought and won or survived. And if you enjoyed this wild ride, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Because around here, we know sometimes the real fires aren't the ones you can see.